I'm about to click mute on the live.
Okay.
Okay.
Says going live. It says we're live. So, and there's
We'll
a
do it
delay.
live.
There's a delay. There's a delay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
cool.
Oh shit.
Oh
Oh,
shit, son, we got ads?
hold on. We got it. There's an ad. I'm skipping this ad.
I skipped it. Okay, cool. Yo.
Okay. Well, we're so it looks like we're okay. Now we're holy fuck. What am I? I'm having to mute everything.
I know exactly what you mean now by the
The
looking at the
delay.
stream. Yeah, it's so disorienting. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, I think we've got everything down now. And Beer Maniac 31. Hello, old head and Eddie Sparxx greeting from France.
Hey,
And
dude.
we are international, which is how we like it.
Hell yeah.
Uh, Will Hargreaves, hello boys, hello. I can't believe it worked. I can't believe we're here. This is exciting.
Hell yeah. This is awesome.
I guess we should wait and see how many people are going to join. It's hard to see all this shit. Like it says, there's only 4 watching right now. So let's give a few seconds to see who else is gonna pop up here, and then we can just get started.
I tell you what, as well, like already doing this for like for like 60 seconds, I have a newfound respect for anyone who does stuff on Twitch. Like like all the
Yeah.
gaming stuff. Like there's dudes I watch that speed run the GTA games, and they have to like respond to chats and stuff while remembering all of this stuff to like save time and
Yeah.
blast through the entire game in like one go. There's a guy called Hugo One, and he will complete everything in the game in like one 16-hour sitting, and it's mesmerizing to see this guy just run through the game with this like route that he's learned that
Yeah.
just optimizes the amount of time. It's just fascinating to see. But yeah, should we answer Yo I Am Here's question?
Yeah. So there's 6 watching now. It doesn't matter. We waited a couple minutes. Let's just go ahead and get started.
Right
So
on.
first of all, thank you for those of you who are here. Thank you for joining to our first ever, and my also like my channel's been around for fuck, I don't know, 2 or 3 years now. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And I've never done a live thing, period. So since we already had a question from Yo I Am Here who says he could not be here, isn't that ironic? He says, hey there guys, I can't make it to the live, haha. So I'll put a question up here now. What is each of your favorite bore? What the fuck is it? It's nerves, people.
Boar Fig album.
What is each of your favorite Big Four debut album? Eddie. His real name is Old Eddie. What's yours? What's your favorite of the Big Four debut albums?
Big Four debuts. So you got Kill 'Em All, Killing Is My Business, Show No Mercy, and is it Fistful of Metal?
Fistful of Metal. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm probably gonna have to go for Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All just has that the catchiness is there as well. There's just
same for me.
Yeah, there's just like that perfect mixture of like accessible and thrashy. So
there are things I like about all 4 of those albums, but I think if I pick only one, then Kill 'Em All it's an amazing debut album. So we got some more hellos. I am not a number. I am not a number. It says greetings from Ireland.
Wow.
That's awesome. And then Alasdair Williams, greetings and salutations from, is it Gozo? Or
yeah.
I'm from America, which means I don't know anything about the rest of the world. That's how it works. And then Mr. Immortal says, "Hey, what's up? What's up?"
What's
Andrew
up?
Tafoya. All right, we have a question from Andrew Tafoya. That's why we're all here. So everyone just start throwing out questions, and we'll try to get to them. I don't know how many people we got here now. Is it eight people? No, 11 people. So Andrew Tafoya says, will you ever do a Ministry album ranking? What do you think? I think we will.
Yeah, definitely a very varied discography, considering that, you know, it started as like a new wave band and ended
where he was
up
faking
like
he was faking a British accent for the whole album.
It's awesome. Yeah, we definitely get around to them.
Yeah, Ministry is a band that like they had the you know how some bands you get into them for a small pocket of albums and then like for some reason you just disconnect, and it's not because they're a bad band, but like Land of Rape and Honey, Mine is a Terrible Thing to Taste, and Psalm 69, those 3 albums were like so important to me, and I still love those albums, but for some reason I just didn't stay on board. And I've heard the other stuff they've done. They got way more metal as time went on.
Dang, my ding along ling long.
Yeah. Okay, see, now we're getting into a dangerous territory here, though, because Jacob CH says, what are your top 5 grunge albums? And that's almost like asking us to just do an episode
on the spot.
We may have to what do you call that? Put it on the board for later for top 5 grunge albums, because
that will definitely that will happen. I mean, to be honest, eventually we're going to get round to all of the grunge bands anyway. So you'll see the top 5 eventually.
Yeah. Brian Piotrowski asks, he says, love your channel, dudes. Thank you very much. My channel is Eddie's channel at this point. It says, what are some of your favorite underrated riffs?
I'm gonna have to go for that, the one that comes after the solo in Struggle Within, the that one.
And they don't do that for very long. That's a real short little part of that song.
Yeah, I know I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I've actually made an extended version for myself using Logic, where it lasts twice as long.
Honestly, there's the band that I don't think gets enough credit for riffs, especially later on in their career, is Napalm Death.
Yeah.
And like a song that literally gets me going all the time, and I love the riff, is a song called On the Brink of Extinction. It's from the Time Waits for No Slave album. I just love that riff. Like, that's a real big chunky riff, and I like that. So thinking of riffs, though, like I feel like a lot of the riffs that stick out to me, like people already like them, you know?
Yeah.
it's not anything. I love the riff in Honey Bucket by the Melvins.
Oh,
but I don't think that's underrated. I think people that know that song love that song. But let's move on real quick. So all right, we have some nice comments too, though. I'm Not a Number says, still laughing at your Cannibal Corpse Part 2 podcast. Very funny stuff. Thank you very much. You enjoyed the podcast episodes, then died. When will you do Anthrax Cranked and Ranked? I mean, I would want to do it right now.
Yeah.
we try to space things a little bit, so we're not doing thrash and then thrash, or grungy and then grungy. So, and then we'd like to throw in our top 5s or 10s of a particular year. But I think the next time we do a thrash band, I have a feeling it's going to be Anthrax, because it's about time. We've done the other 3 of the big 4. So,
definitely.
I'm Not a Number ask thoughts on the new Carcass song. I fucking love it.
I still need to hear it.
I love all Carcass. Like, that's the thing, is that people keep asking, like, why can't you go back to sounding like the gore grind stuff in the beginning? I'm all like, man, they progressed way past that shit. And that's good, but it's like, it's a thing we say about some bands, where the story of the band, that they already did this stuff and now they do this other stuff, and it makes me enjoy both of those things so much. But that new Carcass song is great. I already pre-ordered the album, so it's like, I'm really I'm excited about that.
Cool.
Hold on, we have to try to keep up with this. So Wiz Blue asks, would you rather get stuck listening to 2000s Red Hot Chili Peppers or 2000s Oasis?
I gotta say, like, being from Britain, I hear Oasis all the time. And
Yeah.
I
It's
would
your fault. It's your
yeah,
country's fault.
yeah, we apologize for Britpop.
No, I love 90s Oasis. There's some really great shit there. But yeah, I think that I would rather listen to 2000s Chili Peppers over 2000s Oasis, but only because I don't know a lot of 2000s Oasis. And what if it's really awful and I'm stuck listening to it?
Yeah, for me, the Britpop thing, to me it's just kind of like football grunge, and it's like that. I was never really in. It just never really did it for me, I guess.
Yeah.
But Don't Look Back in Anger is kind of a tune, I will admit. But
That's
I can't
actually
hear
that's
it.
actually one that's actually one of my least favorites because that's the one where I'm all like, oh, they just took a Beatles song template and wrote a different song on top of
it. Yeah, fair enough.
Jacob CH asks, are you fans of Opeth? I've never heard you mention them on this channel. I like Opeth. They're not a band that I can get really into because for some reason it doesn't completely hold my attention. Either era. Like I've heard some stuff from when he was still doing the growly type vocals, and I've heard the last few albums too. And it's like, it's impossible for me to say it's not good. It's just something that it doesn't call me back to listen to it after I've listened to it the first time, but I like it for sure.
Yeah, for me, Opeth hasn't quite happened for me yet, but like I never write a band off until I've given them a really fair shot. So, I'd definitely been down to do a deep dive at some point, but I'm going to have to be in the right headspace, because diving right in on a band, you kind of have to have it's kind of like a magic key. Like when you find a song you like and then an album you like and then go from there.
Yeah. Andrew Tafoya, will you ever do another albums ranked video?
These are it.
It actually upgraded to a podcast where I can talk about it longer. If we did it now, it would just be this. It would be like you looking at us talking on a live stream, because now all my ranking is done with Mr. Edward Sparxx. And
I hijacked it.
So I'll tell you this: if Eddie ever decides to fly to America and come see me, we'll do a video. But right now, like this, I love the format that Cranked and Ranked has taken, because I felt when I was doing the videos that I was always trying to fit so much in really quickly, just because I just felt like it was boring, just me talking on my own. Anyway, hold on. Things are. I like that it's moving quickly. That means that there are people who are engaged, and that makes me happy.
Awesome.
Feelings towards Screaming Trees. Awesome, fucking awesome band.
Really like them. Yeah.
One of the very first grunge bands, but often forgotten in favor of the Big Four. Yeah, I have some problems with the grunge Big Four, mostly because Pearl Jam never did a grunge album. Nirvana did one grunge album. It's like, so I just, it's almost like the Big Four of alternative 90s alternative rock. Like it's, the grunge thing would probably be more like Melvins and Tad. Man, those are the fucking grunge bands. But
an important thing to note as well with grunge is that a lot of the bands from that scene reject being pigeonholed as a grunge band, because realistically, like so many of them sound so different. The only reason it's called grunge is because most of them are from Seattle.
Well, I feel like a lot of the grunge sound, or at least what I connect as the grunge sound, comes from that thing where it's almost like they were all raised on Master of Reality, and then they started making simplified, because like it's real fuzzy distortion, but there's a little bit of a 70s vibe in some of the stuff with the riffs. And so I feel like that's grunge. And so like whenever I hear grunge bands, especially like newer ones, and they're like, oh, they're a modern grunge band, I'm all like, they're alternative rock. I'm like, they're great, but I mean, it's not really that grungy.
For me, grunge, like the original grunge sound, is the sound of Black Sabbath and Black Flag at the same time. So it's like that's pretty much.
I think Kurt Cobain said that about Nirvana in the early days about their sound.
Yeah.
So we got two important questions right back to back. One says, what do you think of the album Born Again? And then the other one says Black Sabbath album ranking. And the answer to Black Sabbath album ranking is yes, coming soon. And the Born Again, you'll have to wait to find out. Because I like Born Again. I don't really like that the 80s era of the band post Dio is real hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
But it's got good shit in there. So, I mean, that'll be an interesting one to tackle. Here's one. I don't know if this is it? I think this is a British band. It says, do you like New Model Army? I think that's a British band, isn't it? It's one of my non-metal favorite bands. And thank you, Beer Maniac 31 for the question. I think the only New Model Army I know is that didn't Metallica do a cover song of theirs, or somebody do a cover of theirs?
I can't remember.
But I don't know them very well. When it comes to like that because I believe that they come from the second wave of punk stuff in the early 80s, if I remember right. But I don't want to talk out of school. I don't know what I'm saying here. Chives Archives, what albums do you guys consider sister albums? In other words, albums that are separate releases, but you listen to them together. For example, mine would be Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules. Oh, okay. Do they have to be by the same band? But sister albums. I mean, there's a lot of bands that did sister albums. I would call Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets sister albums.
I was about to say that, yeah.
And then like maybe Going Off Your Shirt, Practice What You Preach, and Souls of Black. They're kind of they got similar qualities to them. I'm wearing my Rush t-shirt. I would put Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures kind of together.
Yeah.
Because that's when they started in certain ways simplifying their sound a little bit. And so those albums go together pretty well. Any others you can think of? I feel like I'm dominating this. I'm sorry. I'm going to pull back.
No, that's okay. I'm thinking, Jar of Flies and Sap. I always listen to both. Yeah. Awesome. I'm Not a Number. He's very active in here. What was your first gig you ever went to? Mine was Bolt Thrower, early 90s as a kid. Still have the ticket stub. That's awesome.
I've talked about mine before. Mine was Tool in 1994. The lineup was Tool, The Flaming Lips, and Failure. And they were all three fucking great. But I did a podcast episode when I used to do the podcast on my own, the Old Head podcast, and I talk about my show experience and about how some random dude in the audience wanted to beat me up. And but yeah, I mean that was when that was like Tool's first big tour. What was your first show?
My first gig. My first proper gig that was like a big band. It was I think it was Trivium. I think it was the Metal Hammer Defenders of the Faith tour, and I think it was Trivium, In Flames, Ghost, Rise to Remain, and a band called Incense. Yeah, that was when I was peak metalcore kid when I was about 13.
You know what? I'm honestly wondering, since you mentioned them real quick, because we got to start talking about some more modern bands, because I think it adds a little more flavor to the podcast. But should we do Ghost? Because I was really into Ghost on the first album, and then the second album I liked it, but I didn't like it as much, and then I just completely fell off. And a lot of people like Ghost. So I'm like, well, maybe it's one. They only have like 4 or 5 albums, so we could easily.
The third one's really good. I've heard.
Okay. Well, shit. I don't know. Yeah. I love the first one. The first one's great. But it didn't hurt that it was getting a push from James Hetfield, who was all into that album, and I'm like, well, it's good enough for James. Yeah. Good enough for me too.
Hell yeah.
Hold on. What do we got here? Out of the big 4, which band has the worst album?
Hot take time.
I would probably go. So this is going to be probably an unpopular answer, but the one that immediately comes to mind is "Repentless" by Slayer. I think that is because it's a really disappointing ending to a band. Just doing literally the same kind of album they had already done only without Jeff Hanneman. And the production is still has that thing where like, where's the bass guitar? And nobody ever talks shit about the bass guitar being missing from Slayer. But I really didn't like Repentless. I thought it was real phoned in of an album, but especially when you're wrapping up your fucking band like that, like give me something with a little more meat to it. But that's just me.
For me, and this is out of love. Bearing in mind, they are my favorite band. I just can't.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do here?
I'm going to say this. It might be a little bit of a cop-out, but I still can't get behind Lulu. I know it's a collaboration.
Fuck off.
Yeah. I just can't.
Lulu is it's, I wouldn't say it's underrated. It's overhated. It is not that bad. It is definitely weird. It is weird, but I can't. I mean, it's your opinion, to each their own. We can't see eye to eye on everything, Edward.
It has most to do with the fact that it was the first release that came out after I became a Metallica fan. So I was like, oh no way. Yeah. So it was like, oh, I have my fucking mind blown that they came back after Saint Anger with Death Magnetic, and then all of a sudden they put this one out, and I'm like, oh, it was a one-off. At the time, I was kind of disheartened. Plus, I was 13. I was an uncultured pleb. But
I remember when it came out, I loved it because of the fact that I love pissing off metalhead morons. More than anything in the world. And when they released that first song, I remember like either on Facebook or whatever I was using at the time, I tweeted, oh, this is going to piss off some douchebags. I love this.
Retrospectively, I respect it, but like it's not something I would choose to listen to.
There's something about it that I really like. Anyway, hold on. We gotta catch up here. Jazzy Shemp, greetings from Alaska. Awesome, man. My questions, if you could go back in time and hang out with one rocker, who would it be? We have to choose between Jimi Hendrix or Jim Morrison? Oh, I would fucking choose Hendrix. It seems way more interesting. Like Jim Morrison seemed very full of himself and probably on a lot of drugs, whereas Jimi Hendrix probably also on a lot of drugs, but seemed like more of a cool dude. And he's a fucking badass. So I would like to hang out with Jimi Hendrix for sure.
My only stipulation with Jim Morrison would be that if I could reenact the parts from Wayne's World 2 where there's a weird naked Indian.
Will Garth ever receive his Sports Illustrated football phone?
It was delayed. It will arrive in the mail with a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Hell yeah. But if I could choose my own dead musician, if it wasn't between those two, I would choose Kurt Cobain. Just because I want to talk to the dude. He may be a complete bummer and and it may end up making me hate him. I don't know, but I just want to talk to the dude, and that would be mine for sure.
Mine, honestly, I'd have to pick Dimebag because the dude seemed like such a cool guy and
absolutely
total party animal. So yeah, that would be good fun.
Yeah. Okay. I am not a number. You're asking a lot of questions, sir. I'm just kidding. If Headbangers Ball was on now, what would your triple thrash threat be? Well, that depends on the day. Like if I could only do one, then it would. I would probably play bands that don't normally get played. If for some reason MTV is like, we're going to do a Headbangers Ball, old head, we would like to consult you. I'd be like, well, thank you. And then I would say, you need to play shit like fucking Forbidden, like just throw Forbidden in there, and fucking Forced Entry. Like I would pick like stuff that's like way more unknown. What about you? What would you want them to play on Headbangers Ball?
I would be inclined to agree, but like my mind is blanking at the minute, so I'd probably pick underrated songs by big bands. So I'd be like, yeah, you play this one a lot, but play this lesser known but equally awesome one, you know?
Yeah, totally. Beer Maniac 31, what do you think of Flotsam and Jetsam? I fucking love Flotsam and Jetsam. That is a band with a cool sort of story in their album progression, because I was so into them when I was young. I got into them probably in the early 90s, and the album was When the Storm Comes Down, but I didn't even really like that album very much. I liked No Place for Disgrace, and then I love Quattro. Quattro is one of my favorite albums, and then they followed up with the fucking one after that is also really good, which I can't think of the name right now. And now they're back, but they've been here, but they have I feel like it's a completely different lineup aside from the vocalist. But they still put out such good shit. Have you heard the most recent Flotsam album?
No, I need to hear it.
It's great. They literally put out one last year or the year before. Like, they're pumping those things out, but they're all good. And it's got it's got thrashiness to it, but it's almost got a little bit of a, should I say power metal? It's mild. It's mild, but but the dude's voice is still fucking insane. And so yeah, I love oh, here we go. No, and Beer Maniac, Sepultura covered The Hunt. It's a British band. So New Model Army. That's how I knew them, because the Sepultura did The Hunt on Chaos AD. Chives Archive says Blizzard Diary. Are you asking us to choose between Blizzard of Oz or Diary of a Madman?
Nah, that's the what is it?
The sister albums. I get confused here. This is my first time doing this, so I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Will you ever do Deep Purple Cranked and Ranked? I think eventually we will. That one seems like it's more far off, because that's going to be a really big undertaking.
I'd say that our Black Sabbath one is far closer than Deep Purple is. So if totally. To the people wanting Black Sabbath Cranked and Ranked, that will be within the next 6 months. Won't tell you when though, but it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. Thoughts on the Mustaine Ellefson situation? I kind of already talked about this in a video.
It's unfortunate, but
it's he should have known better. Although I don't know if it, like, even if it was recorded and put out without his knowledge, like it wasn't actually videos, it was a chat that somebody recorded on the other end. I just feel like
Golden
he should
rule.
have known.
If you're a known guy, don't.
But he was also cheating on his wife. I'm like, there's a point. The problem is, in my head, all I can think about is, I had dreams of being a rock star. I played in bands from when I was 17 up until just about 5 years ago or so, and it never worked out. And the fact that you're a person that gets to step on a stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people and play iconic fucking music, you need to get your fucking personal life together.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, it's like, I don't feel bad for him at all, because I'm just like, just don't do that shit. And then on top of it, I knew that Mustaine was going to be pissed, because all of a sudden it's like everyone's talking about Megadeth. What are they talking about? Seeing Dave Ellefson's dick.
Yeah.
I mean, and now he's announced that he's going to re-record all of Dave Ellefson's bass parts for the new album with whoever the replacement is. And I don't really have a problem with that either. I don't know. I just feel like the whole situation is really unfortunate, like you said, and it's dumb. But at the same time, I'm like, I guess I just, either one of them, if the same thing had happened to Dave Mustaine, I would be like, yeah, just be smarter about the shit that you're doing. But I don't know. Any extra thoughts on that?
Nah, it's just an unfortunate situation. Yeah.
Clear Cards asks, what's that one super popular band, past or present, that you can't get into? Slipknot would be mine. I can't find a way in. I like the first album. When it came out, I was really excited about Slipknot, because there wasn't a whole lot of music like that, especially that was like popular.
Yeah.
But I flat out can't get into Corey Taylor's vocals or lyrics. Like, woo! Ooh, there's some horrible shit. And that's like, and I don't, and like you probably asking yourself, like, could you do better? Yes. Vocally, probably not. Lyric wise, absolutely, I could write better lyrics than Corey Taylor. But I don't. Yeah, vocally, I don't think I'd have the stamina to do that kind of shit. But he just his vocals and his approach are so uninteresting that it drags the band down. And the band's fucking great. I can hear some of the music, and I'm like, I could definitely get down with this. Let's get a different vocalist behind it. But that's just me. What about you?
I'm definitely a first two albums kind of guy. That like volume 3 onward, it did get a little bit. I don't want to say. Yeah, I don't want to say emo because that's not fair to the sound of the band, but they definitely got adopted by, that kind of thing. And that was never really my scene. But those first 2 albums are super heavy. And there's some cool shit on the first 2. Hell, there's some cool shit on all of them. But like, for me, if I'm going to pick any of them, I'm going to pick the first 2, which is Slipknot and Iowa.
But is there the band that you can't get into?
Yeah, I'm going to do one for the past and one for the slightly more present at this point because they have been around for a while now. For me, when it comes to AC/DC, all I need is the hits. Like, and I've heard so many of them.
Yeah.
And I remember someone made a thing on SoundCloud and it was like the ending to every AC/DC song ever. And it's literally just a stab A chord pretty much every time. And it's just like, for me, it was like AC/DC has their thing and they have great, great songs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're great for like, pure meat and potatoes rock and roll. But like, it's kind of like when you don't season any meat, like you've got like a piece of meat that you've cooked and you haven't put any seasoning on it. That's how they kind of come across to me. Same thing goes for Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters, again, have big songs, never quite connected to it on like a deeper level, but they're all very talented dudes. Again, I like them, but I can't get super into them, is what I'm saying.
I watched a video last night on YouTube where at one of their recent concerts, because they do cover songs, and I guess they let Taylor Hawkins get from behind the drum kit and sing. Now, I am a fan of Taylor Hawkins' music on his own. Like he's had several bands and solo things, and I like all of it. And so he gets behind the drum kit and they do a cover of Somebody to Love by Queen. And he fucking is nailing it. And Dave's on the drums. And I'm all like, this is what's wrong with the Foo Fighters. They need to switch those 2 guys around. Dave gets back behind the drums and then they start over. And then I'll be like, I'm in now. Because I think that's what it is I love Dave Grohl, but he's not, the songs are just not, some of them are great, but some of them are real like, it's almost there, and it's uncomfortable to hear how almost good they are because I'm just like, I feel like I'm hanging on too tight to waiting for this to get good, and then it doesn't really get good. But I'm with you on that, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like we're fucking losing questions here. I'm trying to get to all of them. I'm sorry, guys, but I'm probably gonna miss it. Where am I right now?
Thoughts on Bathory? I'll be honest, I haven't actually heard Bathory.
I've only really heard the first couple albums of Bathory, but that's not really my style. It's fine. It's it's a part of metal history, with those guys, but I don't really know. Alasdair Williams, Wayne's World is great, but pales in comparison to the genius of Bill and Ted. Discuss. I don't think there's any comparison between those 2 movies, except for the fact that they both contain 2 dudes who are into rock and roll. Because
I think they're I feel like they're on a pretty even playing field. What I would say is that I think from like I don't know how to approach this. I think they both nail what they do, and they're different types of movies. So, a Wayne's World feels a little bit more spoofy and self-aware, and Bill and Ted is really fun, satirical sci-fi story with like a kick-ass heavy metal vibe. But
I mean, if I have to choose, Wayne's World is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, it's in my top 5.
Yeah.
So I like that one more. But there, I don't want to have to get rid of one of those. Like, I like all of them. So I mean, personally, I like Wayne's World more. But I think if you're going to compare, like, the kind of movie it is, I guess the Bill and Ted movies have more going with them, like, story wise. Like, it took a little more to write the story to the Bill and Ted movies than it did, especially Wayne's World 2.
there's definitely more like lore and
Yeah.
in-universe stuff, but that's a result of fucking around with time and stuff. So
hell yeah. Okay, Andrew Tafoya, King Diamond album ranking. That'll be down the line probably. That's another one that I can't really get into. I like the first couple of Merciful Fate albums, but King Diamond on his own, King Diamond, like, he's more funny than cool. There's a really great video that came out in like the early 2000s from, I don't know if it was a Merciful Fate song or a King Diamond song, but the song is called Give Me Your Soul, Please. And I just remember in the video, there's this shot of King Diamond they keep playing over and over again where he's all like, and I'm just like, are they trying to make it's like a Saturday Night Live skit in a fucking music video. But I mean, it's fine. Like, I think that's one that I don't know. Are you into King Diamond at all?
I've heard stuff. Again, they're another one that I just need to. Sometimes it takes time for a band to just end up on my radar. I'm sure they will eventually, because they've got a lot going for them in the realm of, them being from the 80s and metal, because, that always ends up somewhere on my phone, but or on my shelf. But yeah, for sure.
Here's one straight to my heart. Jacob CH, do you think in the future Mastodon will be mentioned in the conversation about best metal albums, or will we stick to 70s, 80s, 90s? I'm 18 years old, so to me, Emperor of Sand is already a classic.
They already are. Yeah.
If you give it enough time, Mastodon is going to be a band that everybody fucking talks about, because that's another ranking I want to get to. I already did like a video ranking of them, but eventually I want to do a cranked and ranked of Mastodon, because I mean, I feel like Mastodon is one of the biggest metal bands now, like modern metal bands, and they kind of cross over, because I feel like there are metalheads that are into Mastodon, but I think there are people who are like more of the prog heads that are also into Mastodon now, and so that to me makes them a super important band. And I hope that eventually everyone's going to be talking about some Mastodon album. For me, it's Leviathan. Like, that's the one that like is up there with like some of the best shit ever. But you thoughts on Mastodon? You're quiet over there.
I've already seen them talked about, in realms of, things being classics now. Because if you think, the turn of the millennium was 21 years ago at this point. So, yeah. So people are already talking about, albums from when I was born as like vintage now. So it's like, I saw like Slipknot 2001 vintage tour shirt or something, and I thought, fuck.
Oh man,
where's the time going? But
I told you back in the 80s. When they started in the 80s, when they started playing music from the 50s and 60s on the radio, they referred to it as oldies. So that would mean that right now, stuff from the 90s is oldies. Like
how? Yeah.
Hold on. So Jimmy the Vampire, I know you really love Acid Rain. On the topic of British thrash, what do you and Eddie think of the rest of the UK big three, Onslaught, Sabbath, and Zentrix? I'm a big Zentrix fan. Onslaught and Sabbath both don't have enough going on for me to really like sing their praises, because they had good albums, but I don't think, because Zentrix is another one of those bands that put out classic thrash metal and then got kind of groovy and also put out cool shit under that kind of vein too. But the other two,
Yeah, I haven't heard much. Sorry, but which album is it by Zentrix? It's like really good. It's got a dude on the front with like both his
for
hands up.
for
Yeah,
Whose Advantage.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yeah, their first two albums are fucking killer, but like, yeah, I almost feel it's really weird because not Onslaught. Well, yeah, Onslaught. The one album by Onslaught that I really like is the one that has the Grim Reaper vocalist in it. Like, it isn't even the original lineup of Onslaught. They changed vocalists, and so I don't know. Both those bands are good. Is it Sabbath? Sabbath? I don't fucking know. All I know is that when they name. I only know is that when they named that band, I'm all like, you put an H and then you're Sabbath, and that's just confusing for everybody. Here's another good one. Chives Archives Cheap Trick ranking. I fucking hope so, because eventually. I love Cheap Trick, and that's going to happen eventually, because that's one of those ones that Eddie's going to have a lot of fun with, because they do in the 80s get into more of a less heavy and more just 80s rock kind of shit in the 80s, and so yeah. I think Eddie will enjoy that one.
Yeah, I'm a slut for some gated reverb, people. You all know that.
Wiz Blue, do you think Porno for Pyros were any good? I only know their first album, but I liked it. If so, what's your favorite album between their two? The first one's the only one I ever really heard. It's weird because I would consider myself a Jane's Addiction fan, but I don't listen to them very much. Like, I really like Nothing Shocking and Ritual de Habitual, but I'm not a big fan. So when it comes to the other stuff that Perry Farrell did, I'm like, I like things off of that, but I haven't really dove into it like fully. Do you listen to Porno for Pyros? Do you know any other shit?
I know Perry Farrell is in, Porno for Pyros. That's about the extent of my knowledge. Do they have a song on the Ace Ventura soundtrack? I think that's where I've heard them. I know I love Jane's Addiction, yeah. But I definitely need to get into Porno for Pyros.
So here's a question from Beer Maniac 31. The way he worded it is very loaded. Old Sepultura or actual Sepultura?
Well, what do you call it?
For me, yeah. Old Sepultura is actual Sepultura, and Sepultura now is a different band that sounds kind of like Sepultura. They have the same name, but that was a hard transition for me. I was originally all about Soulfly in the beginning, and I was like, what the fuck are these other dudes still trying to do with Sepultura? And I mean, it shows how fucking dumb I am. They've been very successful. But I ended up growing to really like the first two albums with Derek Green on vocals. Like, I really like those first two. And then every other album I hear and I go, this is good. Like the last one, the last Sepultura album that came out, I did a review of it. And at the time I'm like, this is fucking great. And then 2 weeks later I went, I'm not really interested in listening to this album again. So it's like, there's something about music that comes out that's really good, and you can clearly hear that it's good, but it doesn't make its way into my soul the way that the old Sepultura did. Even Roots, I love Roots. But do you have a preference? Because you're like, this is the same thing with Cannibal Corpse. Like, you once you knew who Sepultura were, Derek Green was the vocalist. Like, there's no old Sepultura, that you experienced,
Yeah, for me, I always, like, the first one I ever heard was Chaos AD, and I heard Roots. I didn't immediately get into Roots, but what I did was go backwards and get into their thrash stuff. So yeah. For me, old Sepultura as well. It's weird because they've had a lot of, what do you consider the point where Sepultura transitioned over? Because like their first stuff is like early black metal, then they went thrash, then they went groove, and then they went kind of new metal-y. And it's like at that point, like, where does old begin and quote unquote actual start? It's kind of it's a hard one. Yeah, Yeah, for me, I definitely see
prefer
Max
the old shit.
Cavalera. Max Cavalera era.
Now, if you're going to ask me out of the two camps, who's doing better music, Sepultura is doing better music. I want to like what Max is doing, but man, it is. Although I did like the last Cavalera Conspiracy album because it sounded very old school.
Yeah.
But everything else has had elements that I thought were okay and cool here and there. But man, it's if the quality is with Sepultura, the actual Sepultura. Okay, I'll give them that actual Sepultura. I am not a number. I am not a number. Last question, I promise. Winky face. I don't trust you. Favorite metal documentary. For me, it's the Cannibal Corpse Centuries documentary, extremely detailed and enjoyable. Yeah, that's a fucking good one. Favorite metal documentary.
I think for me, it's a toss-up between the Metal Evolution series and
that's a good one,
and the Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica, both parts. I love that documentary so much.
So I love, that my answer is also Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica. But if you're talking more modern, I love Flight 666, that Iron Maiden documentary. That one is one of the most enjoyable documentaries I think I've ever seen. Like I love it. It's just a blast. But the Cannibal Corpse one is fucking great. GeForce asks, have you ordered Eddie to listen to Fudge Tunnel and Acid Rain yet? Honestly, I feel like he's failing his country as a Brit because he wasn't already into Fudge Tunnel and Acid Rain. But I mean, we'll just say GeForce has said you have to listen to Acid Rain and Fudge Tunnel, two very different bands. You're not getting, Fudge Tunnel is far from thrash. They're more sludgy alternative metal, maybe. Fuck, I don't know.
Hell, that sounds right up my alley. And I've heard some Acid Rain. I really enjoy them. But yeah.
We're going to get to Acid Rain with rankings. Although that's very short. That's a short, and Fudge Tunnel only has 3 albums. So fuck, I don't know. Maybe when Acid Rain gets around to releasing another album, we'll have a meaty discography to talk about, because they've been writing stuff as far as I know. But who knows how long that will take for them to put out another album. They weren't even able to tour on the most recent album, which fucking kicks ass. So might take a little while. Will Hargreaves, sorry, not sorry if anyone gets annoyed that I'm steering slightly away from music, but what are your guys' views on trans rights? It's getting meaty in here. I don't mean that in a penis way. I mean it in a topic way. Also, to throw a music one in there, do you guys know Like Dinosaur Jr.? I like Dinosaur Jr. Let's go back. If anyone has listened to some of my rants on a couple of our podcasts, you will know that I am all about everybody's rights. So I'm very much about trans rights and everyone's right to do with their bodies as they wish and to be whoever it is that they want to be. And I feel that it's very important to talk about it because there are people that are being dipshits about it. That's the thing, is that if there weren't racists and bigots and homophobes and all of these people out in the world, we wouldn't need to keep talking about this. It would just be a thing that in the past, you read it in a history book or whatever. But the fact that it's still there and there's still people that just don't give a shit about other people's lives. Yes, we have to talk about this stuff. Yes. So yes, the answer to the question for me is, my views are it's everybody, it's whoever it is, it's their business. But I also think that everyone deserves the same respect, even if the thing that they're doing you think is weird.
At the end of the day, I like to think, our philosophies are pretty much exactly the same. Yours is don't be a douche, and mine is
a dick.
Yeah, mine is as long as it brings someone happiness and isn't hurting anyone, it's fine.
Yep.
Bingo.
Absolutely. So it's like, I wish it was as simple as that. I wish it was as simple as saying, to each their own, and then everybody went on with their lives. But every day we're getting proof, especially in my country, that nobody can just let somebody be who they are. So somebody's got to say some shit. But anyway, we'll move on quickly from that because we need to get back on to music. Yeah, Dinosaur Jr. I love Dinosaur Jr. I watched the video for the song "Feel the Pain" last night, and I just thought to myself, man, this fucking song is incredible. But yeah, that was thanks, Will, for I like things getting steered in a different direction, because
Yeah.
I feel like if any of you are fans of us, you probably want to know who we are as people, right? Not just like how we feel about a particular band. So there you go. You get a little bit of insight into our actual personalities. Kingmaker, what are your thoughts on the Dillinger Escape Plan? One of my favorite bands, and probably my pick for the band that will most consistent with the most consistently great discography. I really like Dillinger Escape Plan. I fell off a little bit with them because I feel like their stuff didn't progress as much as I would like it to. But that being said, there's so much going on in all of their fucking albums. I don't know what I expect. But I love Calculating Infinity, and I love, is it called Miss Machine? Is that the second full-length album? I think they're fucking great. What do you think?
Definitely another band I need to do a bit of a deep dive on, but I heard the EP they did with Mike Patton and thought it was blistering awesome. Yeah.
They're a great band, and I also, something that nobody like, what's the fucking guitar player from Dillinger Escape Plan? Can't think of his name right now, but that dude's done other great stuff, and he's in Suicidal Tendencies now, so it's like that's fucking sweet, because the dude rules. Anyway, yeah, Dillinger's a great band. We got to keep moving on. Beer Maniac 31, UK punk or US punk? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go UK because
I'm gonna go US.
two of my favorite punk albums are Nevermind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols, and Troops of Tomorrow by The Exploited. If you're coming into the American side of things, I don't really get into US punk until like the Epitaph stuff starts coming out in the late 80s with Bad Religion and NoFX and stuff like that. So I'd probably go with UK. What are your US? What are your US go-to punk albums though?
Like I'm picking stuff like Misfits, early Suicidal Tendencies.
Okay, I'm with you on that. That's more hardcore though, but yeah.
Yeah, I suppose when it comes to punk, I like a lot of the kind of crossover stuff. Black Flag is another one. Some Ramones stuff in there. Yeah, for me, I think it's just because I'm from Britain, so I kind of get enough of it when I walk out the door, you know? Whereas, like, I find US music feels, in a way, kind of beautifully detached from my everyday life. So it's like another world that I can kind of travel to. And I guess that's just how my ears work.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's not to say I don't like UK punk, but I'm picking US any day of the week.
Chives Archives, it says message redacted. What did you say? What did you say? Let's see. Sean Kernan, have you listened to Medieval yet? I'm guessing I haven't because I don't know who that is.
Same.
Thoughts on the band Icon? Once again, who is Icon?
I know an 80s hard rock band called Icon, kind of in the hair metal vein, but I don't know if he means that Icon, because I don't know. I think if you're
naming your band something like Medieval or Icon, you got to put a little more into it because it's like what? Like why is these these days, that's why rappers have such fucking weird ass names.
Yeah.
Because like everybody is like all out there doing it. So you have to come up with the most bizarre standout name you can do. And then I feel like metal's going to eventually become that too, where metal bands are going to be ridiculous, just the most ridiculous names ever, because it's like, well, how are you going to search me on Google if my fucking name is called Death Queen or something? Because there's like 500 other Death Queen albums or or bands. Anyway, all right. God damn it. There's like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to keep up, guys. Okay, one for you, Ed. Ed, cool. Can I call you Ed? Can I call you Eddie Baby? I don't like being called Eddie Baby. That's a Monty Python reference. It says, one for Mr. Ed, what is your favorite UK music venue? And it says Brixton, perhaps?
You know, I'm thinking just for the memories and the amount of gigs I've seen there, I'm probably going to go for solely based off of, again, the amount of bands I've seen there. Probably Plymouth Pavilions. It's like probably the most major Southwestern venue, because I've seen Slayer there, I've seen Anthrax there, I've seen that Trivium show there, Machine Head. Who else have I seen? Anyway, most of the bands I've seen has happened there, so I do have this like kind of nostalgia for it. So it's kind of like whenever I walk in there, I'm like, I know this place, you know. I definitely do. Once everything clears up again and the pandemic's over, I'll have to go to way more shows, because that's something I didn't realize I missed so much until it was gone. So yeah. Don't know what you got till it's gone.
Oh yeah. Okay. Chives Archives asks, his work with Maiden aside, what do you think about Blaze's solo stuff? I've never heard Blaze Bailey's solo stuff.
Same, yeah.
I have no problem with the Blaze Iron Maiden albums, though. I think that there's good shit on both of them. Jane Pollution asks, Old Head, I know you're not the biggest fan of modern day hip hop. I like some of it. But what do you think about Kurt Cobain's influence on modern day hip hop? I think it's great. Kurt Cobain having an influence anywhere is cool with me. But I think it's really interesting that he's become kind of an icon even in the hip hop world. And I don't really know, maybe it's because his whole attitude was just like, I do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm outspoken, and I don't have to explain myself. Because honestly, I think we've talked about this before in podcast episodes, but when it comes to that kind of quote unquote rock star or rock personality, is there anyone today that exists where you truly feel like, oh, they just don't give a shit, they do whatever they want? Is there anybody?
I mean,
aside from people being complete douchebags, I'm just talking about artistically speaking, because you could say Ted Nugent and be like, yeah, dude literally doesn't care what he's doing.
I will say, like, something's happening at the minute, like I've noticed in kind of the pop world, where I'm actually finding, you know, artists that are stepping out of the norm. And I like that. You know, it's not necessarily...
Who's the guy that did the video where he's giving Satan a lap dance? What's that guy? Who's that guy?
Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of shit, because that's once again the same thing that I talked about with like Lulu coming out. When something comes out and I know that complete bigots are going to lose their shit, I'm all like, I love this. I love this. And I wasn't even really into the song. I'm like, it's okay. Video is pretty cool. But so like it kind of goes back to the question about modern day hip hop. Like, I may not be into a lot of it, but the idea of a lot of it I really like, because it has more of a dangerous quality. Yeah. Which is so weird that people that are into like metal and they're all like, fuck this hip hop stuff, but then they'll go to the rock bands and be like, quit talking about politics. And I'm just like, what do you want? You literally want your music to be really watered down and really boring. And that's fine, whatever. But it just seems like modern day hip hop is way more exciting as a topic than modern metal.
I will say as well, and I've had like a major, not that I wasn't open-minded before, but I've had a real thing recently where I'm hearing some really interesting stuff coming from, like, you know, what would be considered, you know, pop, hip hop artists. I found myself, you know, that like meaty riff face that you get when you hear something that's like filthy. I found myself doing that earlier to the new Megan Thee Stallion song, and I'm thinking, if this was played on a guitar, it would be a fucking nu metal song.
She's from where I live. She's from Houston.
Yeah, there's some kick-ass stuff in the drinking water there or something, because like the stuff that's coming from your neck of the woods recently, man. But yeah,
Ghetto Boys were from here too, kind of.
Man, like for me, I know that we've got a lot of questions here to answer, but yeah, definitely just to wrap up on that, I think, as well, artists like Billie Eilish, she hasn't done the pop star thing. She's gone like right in the opposite direction. She's another one that seems to just do what she feels is right,
Yeah. We'll have to give her time. We'll give her time though. I like her because my daughter's really into her, but we'll have to give her some time because it seems like a lot of these artists that when they're young, they come out and they seem like they do whatever they want. They all seem to kind of start falling in line, eventually. But maybe she won't. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. I haven't heard any of her newer stuff, but I like that shit too. I like talking about different kinds of music, but like when it comes to things like that, I don't have the knowledge behind me to back really anything up. I just know that some things are interesting and some things are not. But yes, Kurt Cobain being an influence anywhere is a positive thing for me. What are your thoughts on Nail Bomb? I love Sepultura and Soulfly, but Point Blank is my favorite album Max Cavalera has ever done. I love that Nail Bomb album. But once again, that's Alex from Fudge Tunnel and Max from Sepultura.
Yeah.
And they put out this fucking fantastic album. I remember, I don't think that album was promoted in a way where everybody knew that it was coming out because I was a Sepultura fan and a Fudge Tunnel fan. And then all of a sudden I remember being at Tower Records and I see the album and it says featuring Alex Newport and Max Cavalera. And I'm just like, take my fucking money right now. And so
yeah.
And I love it. But speaking of that, since I always have to like complain about something, one of the worst things Max Cavalera ever did was go on tour as Nail Bomb without Alex Newport. And he essentially was just playing with Soulfly doing Nail Bomb songs. And I remember there's even a post because like you do those things where you get reminded every year and what you posted on that day,
Yeah.
It comes up every year and it just says there's an article that says Max going on tour as Nail Bomb without Alex Newport, and my comment above it just says, Max, you're really starting to annoy me.
Oh man.
Anyway, so yeah, Nail Bomb's great. Did you answer that question, Nail Bomb?
I have a cassette somewhere here of a Nail Bomb album.
Is it Point Blank? I mean, or is it the live one?
It is Point Blank.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's Proud to Commit Commercial Suicide.
That's the live album.
Yeah, that's
and it was recorded at the only actual live performance Nail Bomb ever did, if I remember right.
Wow.
Here's another timely question. Holmes my ass asks, do you plan on picking up Pearl Jam's No Code on vinyl now that it's being reissued for the first time? That's one that you really like, right? You're into No Code.
Yeah, I think it's one I'll definitely get around to getting eventually. For me, when I do my vinyl shopping, I tend to do it more out in the wild. I'm not exactly a crazy online shopper. I'll fill up my basket and then not look at it again until all of the things have been sold, and then be like, ah. But like if I go out to like a record store, you bet your ass I'm not spending anything under 200 quid. I'll have like a little bit of a fund set aside, and then I'll just go in there and clear out as much of what I want in there as I can. But yeah. From my perspective on that, I'm not the biggest Pearl Jam fan, but I do like their first 3 albums a lot, and I don't have Versus or Vitology on vinyl. So I think if I get another one soon, it's going to be Versus, and then move on from there. But don't worry, we'll be talking about Pearl Jam relatively soon. Hint. Hint. Relatively soon. I am not a number asks, when not listening to your podcast naturally, any music podcast you recommend? For me, I recommend Requiem Metal Podcast. Okay, cool. I don't listen to really any music podcasts. That's your forte. My time to shine. Okay. Yeah. I listen to a shitload of podcasts. I'm music podcasts. If you're big Metallica fan. There's two that come to mind. There's Metal Up Your Podcast and Alpha Betalica. And if you really like Faith No More, you'll love Podcast Croissant. I'm trying to think as well. What are some others? There's a Pantera one that's recently started called Drag the Waters. God, now my mind's blanking. I think like band-centered podcasts are mainly the ones I frequent. Oh, and History in 5 Songs, Martin Popoff. That can be pretty interesting too.
Martin Popoff's fucking shit, man. I can't say shit. He's great. I have a lot of his books, and honestly,
hell, you're sitting on one right now. I've got the big book of hair metal.
Oh, hey,
you're currently sitting on it.
He did a 3-volume Rush biography, and I have all 3, but I've only read the first one. But it's really good because it's like compiled. It's almost like he did all of these interviews, and he ended up including all of this information that normally you would cut out of a 1-volume book.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot more meat to it. So it's cool if you're a Rush fan, which I am. But I forgot what I was going to say. I don't listen to music podcasts very much. It's just random episodes here and there, usually when they have an interview with somebody that I'm interested in hearing from, but that's basically it. I apologize if I fudge your name. Mieszko Kanowski? Fuck, I apologize.
Yeah.
Are you guys down to rank a discography of a black metal band? Yeah, I mean, maybe Immortal at some point. That seems like one that I could get into. I'm not a big fan of black metal overall, and even lesser a fan of modern black metal. With what's that band that everybody loves I just can't stand. So they have a lot of atmospheric shit in their music, but it's hipster stuff. There's a hipster black metal band.
Oh shit! Are they the one? Are you thinking of?
Deaf Heaven.
Deaf Heaven. That's it.
It's not for me. It's not bad. I'm sure they're nice guys. Chives Archives. Question for Ed. Have you ever been to the States?
I have. I went to New York in 2014 for about a week and fucking loved it. It was through a school trip. It cost a little bit, but my parents have always been very supportive with me getting to go places, which I'm very thankful for. And going to such a famous place with so much famous stuff was a really cool thing. I mean, I know, going from state to state, you might as well be going to like different countries. But it was really cool. It was really cool to see America up close, at least the East Coast. So I hope to see, all the states eventually. Because I just love so much American stuff. Yeah. I'm for a British guy, I'm much more American in my taste. Yeah.
Hold on. So where were we? Next question. Do you know some French metal bands besides Gojira? I can suggest you a few. I don't. I like Gojira.
Same.
That new album's really good. But I can't think of any French metal bands. So yes, suggest some. Andrew Tafoya says Andrew Tafoya was talking about the 80s rock band Icon. He says their debut album and their second album, Night of the Crime, are amazing. Highly recommended. Okay, I'll have to go check them out.
Yeah, I remember hearing it ages ago and thinking this is really cool. And like I was like listening to so much 80s hard rock that I just kind of like was that Britney Fox or Bullet Boys? What am I thinking of? In the end. But yeah.
So Beer Maniac 31 asks, do you like Chimera? I don't know. I mean, I know the band name.
Chimera.
Woo! I was way off. So no, I don't know them. I have a feeling they fall into the metalcore side of things, which means I probably won't like them.
they're that kind of, they're on the metalcore thing, but they're more in the realms of the new wave of American heavy metal. So they're
like Lamb of God and shit like that.
That kind of zone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Here's another connected to the last question. GeForce asks, are you going to travel to see each other, get ridiculously drunk and broadcast it live? We all want to listen to you talk about how Lawnmower Death are your favorite band. I like Lawnmower Death.
That would be awesome.
I don't know. Out of the two of us, considering one of us doesn't have a family, one of us is easier. It's easier for him to travel. Maybe what we should do is we should start a GoFundMe that's called Bring Eddie to the States, and we'll see if we can get airfare and he can come stay with me and we'll get drunk and make videos.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it'll happen one day. I don't know. This says, okay, Chives Archives. Hold on. Do yourself a favor and listen to Silicone Messiah by Blaze. Oh, the Blaze Bailey. Okay. Produced by Andy Sneap. Okay. All right. Moving on quickly. Sorry, everyone. We're actually getting close. We're running out of questions. So how many? We have 31 watching. That's pretty good. It's not too bad for their first time.
Oh yeah.
Tam Elgam asks, which rock metal albums do you guys think were suitable for the grunge era without the bands compromising? I can think Slave to the Grind, White Lion's Main Attraction if I had more, if it had more exposure. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot that because of the band that did them, they didn't get enough credit for what they were doing. I would go with Dog Eat Dog by Warrant. I think that's a pretty fucking cool album, and it's
yeah, I was about to say that.
But because they were the fucking Cherry Pie band, then that fucking album never had a chance. But
That's
Slave
one
to the
of
Grind
the,
for sure.
That's one of the saddest fates of an album I've ever seen. Like,
yeah,
especially considering, like they ramped up the heaviness. It's a lot heavier. It's a lot sleazier. It's much less safe.
There's a lot of good like songwriting in it too. Like it's just flat out good songs.
Yeah.
Definitely we got to talk about self-titled Motley Crue album.
Oh yeah.
That one should have been popular and wasn't.
Yeah.
That would have been really interesting though. If that album had completely blown up and they kept John Corabi in the band, I would have been really interested to see like what happened with the Motley Crue story. But all right, next up, Will Hargreaves asks, build the ultimate supergroup. Let's say maximum 2 guitarists go. So between the two of us, like we both have to agree on this supergroup. Let's say that everybody has to still be alive. That way this supergroup could go into the studio tomorrow. Supergroup can go into the studio tomorrow.
Is the stipulation that we can still say, for example, said person is alive but injured?
Who are you talking about?
I was going to say Jason Newsted, but he said recently, he said recently he struggles to play like thrash these days.
It doesn't mean they have to be a thrash band. So let's throw Jason New Kid in there because he fucking rules.
Okay.
So we have a bass player.
Cool.
So I'm trying to think of like drummer wise, who like pops out. Like I would want to throw them in another band.
Oh,
I really like Bron Daler from Mastodon.
Oh yeah,
he's a killer drummer.
Throw him in,
but
he's going.
All right, Bron Daler's the drummer. Okay, guitar players. We don't have to go new school or old school. Maybe we pick one old school and one new school.
Oh, have we established what kind of genre we're doing as well, or is it just
doesn't matter? Let's just think of who you think of, because right now we've got a bass player who was in a I guess kind of thrash. They weren't thrash when he was in the band, but he was in Metallica, and then you have a proggy.
All right, I want Jerry Cantrell involved.
Okay, that's okay. Jerry Cantrell. Can I just because you're wearing the shirt? Can we go with Alex Skolnick?
Hell yeah! So
that would be an interesting combo of guitar players because Jerry Cantrell or whatever his name is, is way more bluesy.
Yeah,
and
I'm
riffy.
thinking. I'm definitely thinking Alex Skolnick on the lead duties primarily, but Jerry Cantrell has full creative control over the riffs.
Oh shit. Okay. All right. So now the question. This is a really weird band. So now vocalist. Who are we going to assign as the vocalist? Who? What do we? Can we just quit fucking
Chris
around and say
Barnes.
No, I was gonna say we should just quit fucking around and say Mike Patton's the vocalist. Because
fuck yeah, yeah, 100%.
That's a weird band that we just put together.
I'm down for it though.
I could go either way. I could go either way. They could make some cool shit or not. Andrew Tafoya says there's an album I've really been into as of late. It's Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia. It's more like new wave synth pop, very catchy and great instrumental. I think that's fucking great. There's a group that I really like called Fantagram, and Fantagram is like electronic alternative kind of.
Yeah.
And I really like them, and that's like not rock at all. I mean, they have some guitars in their stuff, but it's, they're the kind of group that they'll write a guitar lick and then chop it up and shit, in the song. But they're really good. I like some shit that isn't, right in the rock and roll world. It's just, it's rarer that it comes to me because I'm not actively looking for it most of the time. Do you want to add to that? Anything else you can add? You're down with the Megan Thee Stallion, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. That's my jam right now. Yeah.
Chives Archives asks, do you guys buy physical media or stream your music? Chives Archives, is this the first time you've ever been on my channel? I feel like almost everything I do is
wall of vinyl behind you.
Yeah. I actually do both. I have an Apple Music account because I like to just listen to shit whenever I want to listen to it. But if something comes out and I go, oh, this is good, immediately I go to the website and I order a vinyl copy if there is one. So both. What about you? I know you're less on the vinyl side. I guess because you don't waste as much money as I do.
I mean, I've got like 4 cubes of vinyl around me, but that's mainly down to the fact that I just kind of I grab whatever I see in the wild. I love thrift store hauls and that. That there's a certain fun to not knowing what you're gonna get. My Forrest Gump tactic.
Yeah, I wish that it was easier to find cool shit, but like going to record stores and looking through used records and other things for me, it's always really depressing because it's just like, do you want to buy a copy of the Herb Alpert album that there's 50 of them there? Like, it just seems like it's always the same shit at every single store you go to. And occasionally, if you're really lucky, this is in America anyway. But so I don't really know. Although, like, I moved to Houston from Austin in the beginning of the pandemic, so I really haven't gotten to go to all the record stores. And so, like, once I have a chance, I'm going to hit all of them up and see if maybe there's one that has some cooler shit. But I buy most of my shit online just because it's so, if I want something, I'm just going to find it and buy it. I don't want to have to wait because I don't know if I'm going to die tomorrow. I'm going to buy this album today.
Hell yeah.
Chives Archives asks, how much is a quid? That's a pound.
That's a pound. Yeah, I think Will Hargreave and GeForce cleared that up for me. Nice.
Yeah, so it's actually worth more than an American dollar because apparently the UK is worth more than the US. Andrew Tafoya, Sea of Tranquility.
Hudson Valley Squares. Yeah, they're great. They do a lot of like stuff like we're doing right now. They do a lot of like Zoom call kind of stuff. Yeah.
There's a couple of those that dudes do that I occasionally will watch their videos. I don't know the guy's name. There's a guy, and I think he's British, but he does a lot of like a lot of discography rankings, but he does bands like Rush and stuff like that. Like he's I don't know his name, but he's cool. it's really hard it's weird because there's a lot of these guys that fall into the vinyl community.
Yeah.
And I've never been included in that. And I've never really actively tried to be included in that. And it's mostly because you'll see videos come up and it's always some dude sitting with some sort of ridiculously overpriced hi-fi system behind him. And he's always saying shit like, it's vinyl, not vinyls. And you can't have a Crosley and all that. And I'm just like, well, I mean, there's a different way to go about it. It just seems like most of the time vinyl collectors are not really interested in listening to the music. They're just interested in talking about vinyl collecting. And I'm just like, well, that's not me. I'm interested in getting the vinyl, taking it out of the goddamn wrapper, putting it on the fucking thing and playing it. And I don't really care about forking over shitloads of money for some fancy looking record player. I don't have a Crosley. I know those things aren't very good. Although I did see that they've upped their game a little bit. There's a Crosley out there that you can get that I think is a little bit higher end for a beginner.
You want to know the most depressing shit when it comes to my vinyl setup?
What?
So when I lived at my old house in 2017, this is before we moved to this new one that's smaller. Long story short, our landlord had a bit of a messy divorce and ended up having to sell half of his properties. And I ended up having to move out of the best bedroom I've ever had in my life because it was huge for a bedroom in the UK, wall to wall with posters, which apparently I can't have in this one, but they never said anything about the doors. So I have a Soundgarden poster on my door. It's not on the wall technically, but
you can't put posters on your wall?
Yeah, it's pretty sad. But like the thing is as well, which one is it? Yeah, I was getting to, because my room now is significantly smaller than it was at this house. I mean, in fairness, I was spoilt with this room. It was like a sitcom set room where it was like unrealistically big for like the size of the house. And I have these currently this stereo is at my drum room at my grandparents. So I do have it, but it's not at my house. It's where I film the green screen videos, which will be coming back eventually. But yeah, the speakers were like huge nightclub speakers, and it was like a 1992 stereo stack system with a tape deck, CD player, radio, and turntable. Thing was ridiculously loud on like 25%. Yeah. And I remember at my old house, it used to rattle the fucking neighborhood. But yeah, downsizing. I now have a Crosley on my dinner table with an aux cord to a Bluetooth speaker that makes it sound marginally better than it would out of the Crosley speakers.
What kind of Crosley is it though? Is it a full size turntable, or is it one of those ones where the record's all wobbly on it?
It's one of those suitcase ones that has like the tweeter.
All right, forget that earlier GoFundMe. The new GoFundMe is get Eddie a proper turntable.
Get Eddie a Murphy bed so he can put the stereo back in his room.
Yeah. I don't know why I got into that. Probably because I think Sea of Tranquility and those guys, they seem very involved in the vinyl community. And it's not that I don't like those people. I just feel like I don't collect vinyl in the same way that other people do. And I don't talk about it in the same way that other people do. Blake Smith, what do you think of 90s sludge like Crowbar, I Hate God, Acid Bath, or Corrosion of Conformity? It's fine. I like some of all of those bands.
Yeah. For me, whenever I hear it, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. But like, it's a genre that kind of like, it's a genre I forget about until I hear it. And then I'll listen to it for like 2 days straight, and then it will disappear for another 3 months. I don't know what it is for me personally, but like whenever it comes on, I'm like, oh, volume knob is going right up. But
I was a huge fan of the first Acid Bath album when it came out in the 90s. I was really into that. But at the time, sludge wasn't even a word. Like there was no, it was just a weird metal album. Like and so like when people say sludge, like acid bath, I'm like, oh, is that what that is? Okay. And corrosion and conformity, I like the early corrosion and conformity much better than when Pepper Keenan took over. So I even like the album with the other singer that he's only on one album. I don't remember the fucking name of the album right now. Is it Blind? Is that the name of the album? I like that one. But once Pepper Keenan takes over, they're okay. You know, it's not my cup of tea really.
Oh, I have a couple questions here that I think I'm gonna know the answer to, and I'm just gonna chime in.
Okay.
Machine Head cranked and ranked, and Dream Theater cranked and ranked. Both bands that you're not massively into, but I'm sure we'll get around to for like some hot take material.
I would rather do a Dream Theater one over a Machine Head one.
Wow.
But Machine Head's okay. So here's how I know I don't fit in the metal community. So Machine Head puts out these albums that are like middle of the road modern metal, like you know, and they're fine. And then they put out an album recently where it was more like new metal influence, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And everyone's like, fuck that album.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, never mind then. Apparently, like everyone just wants everything to be one way. And as I've gotten older, I've become more cool with the new metal side of things, and I don't hear it as much. I think it's cool when it gets thrown in there.
Yeah, I think as well for me. I mean, I would like to talk about Machine Head at some point, but I think Machine Head.
We will.
I think Machine Head are probably like our biggest differing opinion band.
Oh, because you really like them.
I have a number of albums that I think are borderline, you know, pretty much 10 out of 10. But I do think that there are certain parts of their discography that are like kind of like, ooh, yikes. But
now to be fair, that one album where they completely, when he was rapping, that's pretty lame. And I like Limp Bizkit. Limp Bizkit is way better than the rapping Machine Head, in my opinion. But anyway, next question is, do either of you have a good story about meeting a band / musician? Do you have one?
I met Sonny Mayo at an Ugly Kid Joe concert one time. That was pretty cool.
He's one of the guitarists, right?
Yeah. That was really cool. And I was about 15, and you know, Ugly Kid Joe are one of my top 3 bands, and that was a really cool night. You know, meeting him. It was just really cool. Yeah.
I don't try to meet bands. I don't know why. I don't walk up to people, and I don't go to like signings and stuff. I don't know why I feel weird about it. I just don't want to do it. But I did meet Tool at that very first Tool show. I talked about this on that podcast episode too, but it's been such a long time. But me and my friend showed up to the show. This is in '94. We showed up to the show like super early, and there was nobody there. And then we start hearing like all this commotion coming from the side of the venue, and we go over there, and the guys from Tool have made a homemade like cannon that they're shooting like garbage and stuff out of.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And we go over and we're just like, it's fucking Tool. And so we went over, and there were other people already there, and they started like getting autographs and stuff. And I just remember that I didn't have anything to autograph. So I just turned my ticket over and had the dudes I have like Danny Carey and all their signatures on it. But I just remember that I borrowed somebody's marker to get it signed. And when I went over to Maynard, he goes, where did you get this pen? And I was like, I borrowed it from that guy over there. And he goes, make sure you give it back to him. And then I was like, all right, Maynard, thanks. And,
wow.
But that was it. That was my conversation with Maynard James Keenan. And so, yeah. Anyway, I'm backtracking. We're getting more questions in here. Favorite Swedish death metal band? Entombed. I love Entombed. I love Entombed. I love shit that people don't love. like Same Difference is a fucking fantastic album. And everyone's like, it's not death metal. I'm like, doesn't matter. It's fucking great. But I wasn't really into the Entombed AD thing. Something got lost, but I still liked it. But all the Entombed albums, I mean, that's a ranking that I would gladly do, because I think Entombed is a fucking fantastic band, or were, unfortunately. Well, I guess I don't know if they're going to do shit without LG because he's dead, but they weren't doing anything anyway, so that's really weird. What do you think? Swedish death metal?
Oh, I'm gonna have to say Entombed, mainly because it's a genre I need to get deeper into. That's the thing. Yeah. Like I have genres that I know really obscure stuff, and then genres where I know like the top band. You know.
Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't really dig very deep saying Entombed, but I think they're great. G-Force says, you did a helmet cranked and ranked. I'm curious about what you think of the band Battles because of the John Stanier connection. I really like the first Battles album. It's weird. It's fucking weird.
I haven't heard it. I need to hear it.
And when they played live, John Stanier had a really small drum kit, but for some reason he put the crash cymbal way the fuck up here. And so he's always just like, he's and I don't know why he decided to do that, but it's really weird. It's like an electronic music. It's like art. It's the kind of music that you'd be like, this is artsy shit.
Yeah.
But it's got John Stanier on drums, and John Stanier is a fucking great drummer. I like Battles. Yeah, look it up. If it's a fun listen.
He probably had a really like OCD sound tech, so he was like, we need to separate the cymbals and the drums to get a clear mix. It needs to be as far away as fucking possible.
Yeah. All right, we already talked about Dream Theater, Craving a Dream Theater, cranked and ranked. We'll get there, Jimmy Page. We will get there eventually.
Hell yeah.
Alex Vincent asks, thoughts on the Anthrax Walmart exclusive vinyl they're doing for one for Fistful of Metal. I'm not going to get it because that's not one of my favorite albums, and I already have an OG copy of it anyway. But I like that Walmart is doing that. I'm not one of these people that just says, oh, it's Walmart, it's evil, and I'm not going to buy shit, because those fucking Metallica reissues are well done. And then I'm assuming that Walmart didn't make them. They have a deal through Walmart to sell them. Is there even a Walmart in the UK?
I think Asda is our Walmart. I think there is like a connection to the two, because is it the George clothing line? Is there like a tie there?
I have no idea.
I think Walmart and Asda are connected in some way. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's it.
So yeah, I like that they're doing these reissues, because sometimes it's something that I'm interested in getting, and other times it's cool. I mean, it's cool that people are able to get Fistful of Metal on vinyl. It's a great album. So there you go. What are some of your favorite Primus songs? One of the bands where no one band sounds like them. Eventually, I want to do a Primus cranked and ranked too.
I'm totally down for that. Yeah.
I love Too Many Puppies. Oh god, it's a fucking good song. And what's the other one? It's on the same album. It's on the Frizzle Fry. Anyway, Frizzle Fry is great. Sailing of Seas of Cheese is great. They got weirder to the point where it wasn't. I liked it when they were lumped in more with metal, because they were heavy with the shit they did. Once the heaviness kind of got stripped out a little bit, they kind of lost me. But man, I love those first few Primus albums. What about you?
I'm probably thinking something off of Pork Soda, maybe like DMV, or I gotta give it to My Name Is Mud for just being a classic, really weird, out there but unique song.
When I was young, my favorite, I loved Jerry Was a Race Car Driver. Like that was one that I was really into. That was a band that I discovered through Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Yeah. Like it might have been around the same time that Tommy the Cat was on Headbangers Ball, and like I got into them. You want to lay down by my side, baby, do you want to lay down with me? Which is such an interesting thing, because all these years like past where I was just like thinking that was Les Claypool doing all the vocals, and it's Tom Waits doing until the end. Then it's Les Claypool, but it's Tom Waits doing like all that shit. That's pretty interesting. Primus is great. Bolt Thrower, maybe eventually we'll get around to Bolt Thrower. 9 Inch Nails, Cranked and Ranked, yeah,
that'll happen.
That'll happen eventually. I like 9 Inch Nails a lot. Bolt Thrower, yes, okay, we got G-Force and the 90s output of Earache Records as opposed to the dross they release now. Thoughts? Yes, I absolutely agree with you. What the fuck happened with Earache Records? They were literally like the cutting edge of like extreme music, and now they're putting out 70s dad rock rehash bullshit. It's just, God, I don't need any more of those bands. I don't need any more bands that where they sound like they could have come out in the 70s only with modern production. I don't need any more of that. I'm good, thanks. Same thing with stoner and doom. Let's fucking get all of that, throw it into a pile. We've done it already. There's already good stoner and doom album, Dune. Let's move on from those. Do you have any thoughts on Earache? Are there albums from that label that you're into?
I was unaware of this problem, but then again, my experience with extreme metal is like the big bands, mainly stuff from the Florida death metal scene.
Yeah.
But now that it comes to mind, it's weird. It's definitely.
But yeah, I mean, really, the only thing that they've got going for them is they do reissues of their classic albums, and they're usually good quality. So I'm gonna give them that. But when it comes to new music, I don't know who their target audience is, but it is not me. Beer Maniac 31 asks, "Do you like New York hardcore?" Who would be in New York? A lot of those bands. Can I say Biohazard?
I was going to say
I like them. Yeah. A lot of those bands, there's so much machismo going on with the hardcore scene. If it's too hardcore, like what's that band that they always post the funny video of the big muscular guy doing the fucking Running Man? What's that fucking band? So I can't, just the visual of that and the crowd doing all the karate shit, that is my hell. That is where I'm going to go when I go to hell. I'm going to have to go to one of those shows, and I'm going to burn there for eternity. So I just don't like the hardcore stuff, how it just seems so, I'm really mad. I don't really know why I'm mad, but I'm going to take some words that equate to things I should be mad about when really I'm from the suburbs. And so it's, it just doesn't do it for me. But I like
I'm so fucking tough. That's right. I'm so fucking tough.
Some of it's good. Like there's bands from that original New York hardcore run that did some cool shit. But I don't listen to a lot of it. Hardcore is not my thing for the most part. If you want to talk hardcore, I'm going to talk Minor Threat or something like that. But that's early.
For me, I like it more than you do. Mm-hmm. But I can definitely see like there is a lot of saturation with it as well. So like it really is a case of just picking your favorite bands and kind of sticking to it, because like there's only so many chug patterns that exist,
Yeah.
But
all right, let's move on from there.
Cool.
Have you heard of the band Lucifer? Yes. If we're talking about bands that sound like shit that already happened in the 70s, yes. I'm not. Lucifer's fine. They're fine for what they do, but man, that is a genre of stuff. All these bands that come out and their names are all like Acid Wizard, and I'm just like, oh, fucking A, man. It's all fine. Like it's the kind of band that if you put it on and be like, what do you think of this? It'd be like, this is fine, because it's nothing that makes me go, fuck this music. But I'm just like, there's so much of it. There's so much of that shit out there. And Anyway, favorite meal. Wiz Blue asked favorite meal. You go first. Is it fish and chips?
Favorite meal. My favorite. It's definitely one of them.
I love fish and chips too. Only when they make them the right way. I don't like the way they make French fries here. I like them in the chip form.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the best way to do it, but that's just me.
Yeah, big old thick battered chips and a big ass piece of cod that is 50% crispy batter. But yeah,
you like a big cod?
Yeah, I do.
That's what
we all love a big cod around here. My favorite meal though, gotta be pizza. Most types of pizza
right.
for me. Like I'm never not in the mood for that,
Yeah.
Someone's like, whether it be store bought or delivered, I'm like, dude, you want fucking pizza? Like, do you know who you're speaking to, dude? I'm the pizza guy, But yeah, I'm a pizza boy.
I love pizza. My go-to is anything Mexican food, that's interesting. I would love to know what Mexican food is like in England. But here in Texas, it's especially in Houston, it's great.
We've got a couple Mexican places near us. We used to get like tacos and burritos from all the time called habaneros. They're really good. But yeah. Oh, where was I at with the pizza? Oh yeah,
pizza.
I've been really enjoying. There's I don't want to dox myself too much, but a certain store sells a certain garlic prawn pizza, and I'm really enjoying that one right now. That's my every Wednesday. I've had a pandemic tradition that every Wednesday, just to keep myself sane, I have this like little tradition to myself every evening on a Wednesday where I get a bunch of beer and a big ass pizza. I eat the whole pizza and drink all the beers right in front of my computer doing whatever the fuck I want. And honestly, like my pizza and beer night it's got me through some tough times.
I'm skipping down here because a comment just came in that's related. Pineapple on pizza. Abso-fucking-lutely pineapple on pizza. Now, do I always want pineapple on pizza? No, but do I like it on pizza? Yes, I do. That is some good shit right there. But I'm not, man. I don't understand where that divide came, where people have to be so like, no pineapple on pizza ever, and I'm just like, why do you have to have that kind of stance? Like it's, I don't like anchovies, but I'm not going to tell everyone not to have them on their pizza.
I tell you where it came from. I remember someone posted a meme about this, and someone said, oh, you don't like pineapple on pizza? That's just another way to say you refuse to eat anything other than chicken nuggies as a kid, and you now have the palate of a 4-year-old.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I love pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, I love pineapple on pizza too. Yeah.
So if you ever ended up over here with me, we would have to have a beer and pizza night then for sure, man.
Hell yeah.
So all right, hold on, we're moving down. All right, G4 says Walmart used to own Asda and now they don't because Asda found out that Walmart doesn't stock Lawnmower Death albums. Who stocks Lawnmower Death albums? Nobody does now. Alex Vincent, thoughts on Skid Row? I'm gonna let you go first.
First 2 to 3 albums, fuck yeah. The rest I don't really know, but those first, I don't really know much of the third one. What's the third one called?
Yeah, Subhuman Race.
Subhuman Race, yeah,
that's a fucking great album.
Yeah, for me,
Bob Rock produced album.
Oh wow, really? Cool. Yep. I'll have to re-listen to that one, but the first 2 are among my favorite like hard rock heavy metal albums ever.
Yeah.
Like in that 80s kind of sound. Yeah, they're definitely high up on my list for that.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same. I love the first 3 albums. The stuff they've done past then is not bad. It just doesn't feel the same to me. And I really like Sebastian Bach as a vocalist.
Yeah.
I know that he was tough to be in a band with. I'm reading this book right now called what the fuck is it called? Never mind, I can't even remember. It's a
Top
book
100 Why Not to Work with Sebastian Bach.
Hold on, it's called hold on. This one right here. I've been reading this book. Nothing But a Good Time. So this is it's a fun book, but they talk about all of those bands. It's from the band's perspectives, like through interviews and stuff. And all that anyone talks about is how much of a huge handful Sebastian Bach was to be in a band. And so I totally understand being like, nah, we're not going to ever do that again. But that's one of those things. I almost feel like, aside from Sepultura, because Sepultura could reunite with Max Cavalera, and I think I would enjoy it. But I think I would more enjoy a Skid Row with Sebastian Bach reunion. I feel like he could still probably pull it off. I don't know if Max could pull off playing Sepultura stuff. I don't know. All I know is that when I saw, this is jumping off of Skid Row, I saw Soulfly in 2000 and I want to say not 9 or 10. And all I remember was that most of the time Max didn't play the guitar. He would strum a string and then he would do this and sing, and the other dude played all of the music. And so wow. I'm just like, I don't know if he can do it anymore, but let's see. Anyway, yeah, I recommend this book. It's a fun read if you're into that sort of thing. Anyway, if Alice Dare Williams, if you could erase one band musician from history, who would you guys choose?
I'm basing this off of an expose video that a YouTuber I like, Gus Johnson, made on Chris Brown, who has consistently proven that he is just a giant turd. Like,
the R&B singer. Okay.
Yeah, like the amount of and all it would take is like a look at the Rihanna thing, where he just beat the shit out of her, like pretty much almost to death, and he's still out walking around. There are multiple accounts of assault that people just do not talk about. That this guy is just like.
To be fair, over here in America with sports teams, there's stories of that all the time. Dudes that just beat the fuck out of women and other people, and because they're a good football player or American football player, they get to remain out of jail and on the team.
Yeah, for me, I would probably go, knowing what I know about all of this, I would say Chris Brown.
So you're going with personal reasons. His personally. You think he should be removed from the planet? Yeah,
I think I thought that was what we were going for.
I thought we were talking musically speaking, but if we're gonna go with that, I'm choosing Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent is getting removed from the fucking planet because the dude's a piece of shit. But anyway, musically speaking, who would I remove?
On a more lighthearted I'm probably picking someone like Pierce the Veil or Sleeping with Sirens. Like those two bands are like the epitome of what I really don't like in modern rock and metal.
Yeah,
where it's like the whiniest possible emo metalcore scene kid stuff you can get. Yeah. It always just sounded like the moment I heard, I met a girl at 17, she meant everything to me, and I was like, I want to cheese grate my ears off. Yeah, yeah.
I can't think of one that just musically, because I'm way too fair when it comes to this, because I'm just like, man, all these bands, they have fans, and not all their shit's awful. I don't know. It's hard for me to pick, just because I'm gonna go with my first choice. So let's move on. Rob Zombie cranked and ranked. I would do a White Zombie cranked and ranked because they have a really fascinating discography because people don't ever talk about their first couple albums. And I think they're cool. And so I would totally do a White Zombie one. Thoughts on Baroness? Love the songs, but the production on the releases sucks big time. Baroness is a really great example of a band that betrayed me because their first full-length album, which is the Red album, I was so into it. And I saw them on that tour and they fucking blew me away. And then little by little, every album that they've put out has been less good than the one before, but yet they've gotten more popular. So I'm just like, okay, this is another reason why I feel like I'm not a part of the big picture. I'm just this weird dude that I liked something and then all of a sudden they moved away from it. It's like Clutch. I love the first 2 Clutch albums so much. Like the first 2 Clutch albums are probably in like some of my favorite albums ever made. But then they just slowly became a band that I'm all like, they're fine. I'm not into it. And so it happens. So what about you with Baroness? You into them at all?
They're a band that has actually kind of escaped me. I need to. Are they kind of like sludgy-ish?
They were. Like, they're not really anymore.
Right.
I don't know. It just they're fine. I'm not really interested in what they're doing. G-Force says if you could punch Hatebreed in the testicular area with no comeback, would you? Hatebreed? Are they jerk offs? That's a metal band that's more in the hardcore vein, aren't they? That's that guy. What's his name?
Jamie Jasta.
Jamie Jasta. He seems like an okay dude.
I will say, on the subject of Hatebreed, I know it's kind of trendy for some people to hate on kind of hardcore bands. I'm not saying that you're jumping on any bandwagons. You have your opinion. Yeah. We all have them. But I will say, both I think it's Perseverance and Rise of Brutality. Those 2 albums kind of pulled me out of a bit of a rut right at the start of the year. Because there's just something really motivational. It's almost kind of like a drill sergeant yelling at you to get your shit together. And it's like, sometimes it helps to just have a band that's straight up with you, nothing cryptic, just like, pull yourself together. You can fucking do this. You know, and then, that's kind of, funnily enough, it's what got me like working out again and exercising again and being a little bit more disciplined. And now I feel like so much better than I did coming into this year. Like I've lost about 2 stone in weight. I'm getting
how much is a stone?
14 pounds.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I came in to this year at about 16 and I'm back down to pretty much 14 stone, which is how I used to weigh before I ate McDonald's every day for 3 years. But
So that's a good reason why you don't get rid of bands, because I'm not really into Hatebreed, but Hatebreed was a positive thing for you. So as long as they're not assholes, let the bands exist, even if I don't like them.
If I could punch Chris Brown in the testicular area with no comeback, 100%.
I'll come with you. We'll both punch him in the dick. It'll be fun. Anyway, so where are we here? All right, we already talked about pizza.
Pineapple is fine by us.
Team Pineapple. Yeah, I'm into that shit. What's an album people love that you just can't get into? We kind of talked about bands that did that. Jedi Master Fulla says, have you listened to the Go Ahead and Die self-titled debut? I heard a couple songs off of it, and it's just, there's nothing there for me. Plus, I don't think that his son is a very good drummer. He's fine, but I just hear so many like abrupt, like when the tempo starts to go off and get slower or faster, and I'm just like, all right, well he needs a little bit more time to get really good at what he's doing before he I don't know. That's just one man's opinion, I guess. But I didn't really like it. It was fine. It's whatever. I almost feel like that's the biggest insult that I can give music when I just go, it's fine. Not even worth me talking about. Anyway, Holmes My Ass asks, old head, when you had short hair in your 20s, did you ever stop and think to yourself, my ears are getting chilly? I mean, no.
As someone I'm going to weigh in here as someone who was in the air cadets from the ages of about 13 to almost 16. Yes, my ears did get cold. Yeah, because I had short hair for a while. If I could have kept it, I would. Retrospectively, like, I would have spent more time working on music and stuff I was actually passionate about rather than joining something because my parents wanted me to. But life's a journey about finding out what you don't want to do as much as what you do. So,
That's well said, sir. I had long hair throughout high school up until about 1996, maybe.
Yeah.
Me and Metallica, we all cut our hair around the same time. But I didn't do it for like a trend kind of thing. I literally did it because I was in bands and my hair would get in my mouth while I was singing and stuff. And I'm just like, I'm not playing metal. Who am I trying to fool with this hair? And so I cut it off, and I didn't start growing it back until my late 20s, early 30s. And I've had it for like, another 10 years long now.
Yeah.
I know that wasn't a serious question, but we gave it a serious answer.
Yeah.
Star Wars or Star Trek? I'm not really bothered with either one of them.
I love both.
I'm gonna let you take this.
I love both for different reasons. If I want to chill and just vibe with some sci-fi stuff, I'm going with Star Trek. If I want to invest myself into 2 hours of space blasting, I'm going to pick Star Wars. So
when I was younger, as a child and into my 20s, I was really into Star Wars. And then as the newer Star Wars movies started to come out, that's when I checked out. Although I did like a couple of the more recent ones that they did, but it's not enough to make me really like get excited about movies. Like I've become the kind of person that sci-fi is fine and fantasy is fine, but I like a fucking badass action movie where most of it doesn't make any fucking sense, and you really have to, like, I'm excited for the new Fast and Furious movie because those movies are really dumb but fun as fuck. And so and that's what I want. That's all I want out of a movie. Like, don't ask too much of me, especially if in these days when you're making movies are all 2+ hours long. I mean, when I was a kid, a movie was 90 minutes. Yeah. And if it was longer than 90 minutes, you're like, oh, this is one of them Academy Award movies or some shit. Okay. Raul asks, which current bassist would be a good fit to finish laying down bass tracks for the new Megadeth album? A lot of people are talking about that guy that was previously in Megadeth. I can't remember his name. I feel like he played on like The World Needs a Hero or something. Or
let's have a look. Megadeth bassists. Is that James Lomenzo?
That's him.
Yeah.
Maybe if he's not busy. What about the guy who used to play bass? No, I think he started a new band. The guy that used to be in Testament. I think he started a new band, so it probably isn't him. I don't really know. Maybe they should find an unknown, because I didn't know anything about was it Kiko? Is that the guitar player's name? I didn't know anything about him before he joined Metallica. So I'm Megadeth. I'm sorry. Woo! I'm gonna go ahead and kill myself just for all of you folk out there.
You had a good run.
Yeah, we did. I fell off quickly. I don't know. What do you think? Any names come to mind? Jason Newsted? I know he can't do it.
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cool to maybe get someone in who could bring something like different to the table. Maybe, because Megadeth for quite a while now, like I think we talked about this in our Megadeth ranking, is that, you know, Megadeth after a certain point stopped literally taking risks and kind of have a modern sound, and they just make modern Megadeth albums, you know. There comes a point where they kind of become a little bit less distinguishable, you know.
A lot of bands have done that, but we'll have to see what the new one sounds like.
It's good, but it's a lot of it. It's not going to stand the test of time as much because it doesn't stand out as much for me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Next question from Andrew Tafoya: what's an artist or band people would be surprised that you listen to? You want to go first? I feel like I talk about this on my shit.
For me at the minute, I'd probably say Doja Cat. I really like Doja Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like kind of a triple threat, really. I mean, she can rap and sing both really well. And gonna throw this out there, bit of a crush on her. Bit of a good crush on her. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Her and Megan hit me up.
I've talked about this before. I think probably the weirdest one for me is Spice Girls. Like people wouldn't expect that I'm really into them, but those first two albums are fucking fun. But yeah, most of the other stuff I feel like I talk about. Like I don't listen to anything that isn't that far removed. I'm a big Phil Collins fan. That's something that's a little bit outside of the norm. People like to hate on Phil Collins, but he's one of my favorite vocalists. Like he's fucking
very unique.
Rules. He rules as a vocalist. And I don't know. I talk about the shit that I listen to, so it's not anything that I think that's very surprising. Thoughts on KK's Priest? I haven't heard him. Have you heard KK's Priest?
No, actually, I haven't. But you know, yeah, I haven't.
Yeah.
I thought I had something then, but it's gone.
Beer Maniac says the drummer, I guess, in Go Ahead and Die is Zach Coleman, and Max's son Igor is playing guitar, bass, and sings on the album. Okay, whoever the drummer is, it doesn't seem very good. I couldn't do better. Beer Maniac 31, thoughts on the new Mordred songs? I think they're great, and I also love the fact that they're not just fucking phoning it in and doing, literally trying to remake songs that they already made. All right, Mordred, when are you going to make thongs? Let's start doing it. I think they're cool. I like the vibe of it because it's both of the tracks they've released off the new album to me have been songs where I go, I don't really know what to think about this right away. I mean, but I like it. So that's the mark of something cool to me. So I'm excited for the album. Have you heard any of the new Mordred stuff?
Didn't they do like a trap song as well?
They did on the EP that came out recently. There's a trap song on it.
Yeah, I love bold creative decisions, you know.
Absolutely.
So, and they're definitely a band that does a lot of that. So yeah.
Jazzy Shemp asks, Twilight Zone marathon or Three Stooges marathon? Probably Twilight Zone for me. Yeah,
Twilight Zone I'll probably go for.
I don't think the Three Stooges has aged very well because it's not. I watch it and I'm like, this is kind of annoying. It's like it's just a bunch of noise and obnoxious people talking, and I loved it when I was a kid. Alistair Williams, you can go back in time to see one gig. What is your choice?
Oh wow! Seattle '89.
Seattle '89 for Metallica.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. I would go back in time and watch. I don't know if it came through Houston or where it doesn't matter, but I would like to see the Clash of the Titans tour.
Oh, yeah.
Because those bands at that point were on fire. All of those bands. And you see Alice in Chains early on. The biggest thing, though, in the 90-91 era Megadeth live is ridiculous how fucking good they were.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still a great band, but yeah. And of course, Anthrax and of course, Slayer touring on one of my favorite Slayer albums. So, I mean, I would like to go see that. Thoughts on Yngwie Malmsteen? his stuff's fine. I feel like you know his stuff better than I do.
Killer guitar player. Love his choice of, harmonic minor, classical shred, and I love how he embraced the more is more mentality when it came to the 80s stuff.
How can less be more?
More is more, when you're doing the 80s kind of material, less is more just isn't an option, and having a shit ton of Ferraris and a shit ton of guitars, and being an untouchable fucking guitar player, for that kind of thing, one of my favorite album covers is him fighting a dragon with his guitar. That album freaking rules. But yeah, I will say I do have to be in the right mood for very shred centric bands, like, where the main draw is the fact that there's a really good guitar player in it. It's literally Yngwie Malmsteen's band. But when I am in the mood for it and I want to hear some Yngwie, I'm like, oh hell yeah, let's put Trilogy on.
Yeah. I don't know much, so I don't really have much of an opinion. So we've hit 2 hours with this Q&A. But we still got 26 people watching. So I mean, do you want to keep going?
Can do for a bit. Do you want to maybe get to about 9:20 and then maybe call it?
What time? What is it? 9 right there? Is it 9:05 right now?
9:05 over here. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll do a few more questions. First of all, thanks everyone for making this really enjoyable. I had one of those dreams where it's like, oh, we're gonna have a live Q&A and like nobody's gonna show up and there'll be nothing to talk about. But so yeah, thanks everyone. Let's get onto some of these questions and then wrap it up. Okay, so Sean Kernan posted some medieval stuff. So they're an 80s band. Cool. I'll check them out.
Cool.
I'm not a number. Favorite music books you'd recommend? For me, it's got to be Choosing Death, History of Death Metal and Grindcore book. That's a good book. I read that one. Do you have a favorite music book? Honestly,
the Big Book of Hair Metal was like such a good I've got it on hand because it's literally what my laptop is sitting on. But
I'm trying to think of like
this one. Like. This one here is like, if you love 80s metal, there's absolutely no fucking reason not to love this thing. It's just like a giant account from the time. It takes you right through the history of it, right up until 1991. I do wish Martin Popoff had included a 1992 section, but he kind of did have to cap it with the Nirvana thing kind of ending it. But
well, I think I guess a lot of those bands were still doing stuff, but at that point, can you really even call it hair metal? Even though the same bands were making music, wasn't hair metal. This is one of my favorites, Contract in Blood: A History of UK Thrash Metal.
Wow.
I highly recommend this because it talks about all sorts. It's just like a lot of little mini biographies on UK thrash metal bands. Every one you can think of. This turned me on to a couple bands that I didn't know, and it gave me some insight into some bands that were kind of a mystery to me because I was like, where did this band come from? So that's a cool one. I would recommend reading that if you're into thrash metal at all. Let's see. G-Force said, did my Seth Putnam question get deleted? I didn't have any offense. Sorry. What?
I don't know. Maybe there was, what was the question? Because I know that anal do tend to have a bit of a reputation for song titles being.
Yeah. Did you write the word cunt in the chat? Maybe YouTube deleted it.
Yeah. I know that YouTube has a real thing for, I mean, I suppose like you could misinterpret many of their song titles for quote unquote hate speech.
Were you talking about removing Seth Putnam from existence? Like some people, there's a good case for that. Anyway, so I'm going to skip that. Alex Vincent, what's the funniest, worst song you've ever heard? Also, Broken Broken Side should be banned off the face of the planet. Who's Broken Side?
Have you ever seen Broken Side? They were
maybe
they were crunk core, where it was like oh my god, yeah, actually no, you're right. This guy's right.
I gotta look that up.
Oh, it was like premium cringe. Like
so speaking of cringe, I think the worst song and video I've ever seen is from that band called Attack Attack.
Oh,
and they're doing the crab walking shit, and it's just, but it literally has all of those things that I can't stand, where it goes from being like rah 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 and then to the babe, like it's really cheesy as fuck. Go ahead, go.
Take that, make it dance music.
Is this the one where there's like, is this the one where there's like kids or younger kids doing it? Because there's one I found where it has like younger kids, and it's so adorable that I don't care that it's really bad.
No, it's like I can't remember the video specifically, but I remember it being like really unbelievably awful. Like
I literally am gonna have to look up Broken Side when we're done here.
Oh my god, man.
Okay, let's try to fit in a few more questions. We got about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna wrap this up. This one, so 2 people asked about Mike Patton side projects. Favorite Mike Patton side project aside from Faith No More and Bungle.
Ooh.
The one that I wish they would make another album of is Peeping Tom. I really liked Peeping Tom, and I would like there to be some more of that. I thought that was a fun album, and I saw them on tour with that band, and it was a blast. So I would like that. What about you?
I'm loading up his discography because I want a good look. I want to, because I know there's a shit ton of them. What do we got? Mr. Bungle, Phantomas, Tomahawk, Peeping Tom, Dead Cross. Dead Cross is cool.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I would probably say, like, from a being really interesting perspective, I like when he did that Mondo Cane, like Italian pop music kind of like from the 50s and 60s kind of vibe. I thought that was really cool. To be honest, like, I like all of them really. I like Tomahawk. I definitely, I mean, Phantomas, I have to be in the right mood to be bombarded with Phantomas. But the director's cut is a really cool, inventive album. Taking
and also there was a question about Phil Anselmo's side project, and somebody else earlier asked about Down. I like the first Down album. That's really it. But the thing that I was very surprised that I liked so much was the very first Phil Anselmo and the Illegals album, which is like called Walk Through Something. I don't remember what it's called, but I just remember, like, I loved how the very first song was literally about telling kids to get off their phones at concert.
Yeah.
And so the whole song was like, hands up, hands down, or something like that repeatedly.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's fucking great. But I'm not a huge Phil Anselmo fan. I like Pantera.
Have you seen?
Go ahead.
So have you seen that guy Bradley Hall, who does speed runs where he writes a song from a band in 5 minutes? He did a Pantera one, and when he was doing the vocals for it, he got it so perfect. And he was like, I've got so many personal demons. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's hilarious. Yeah. He's great. Awesome. He's like that K-Mac guy that I showed you last night, the Scottish guy.
That guy's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. He's in a similar vein. But yeah.
Okay. Let's try to get to a few more before we leave. Do you guys enjoy metal movies? My favorite one is Deathgasm. I love Deathgasm. That's a fucking great movie.
I need to watch that one.
I love metal movies.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. There's a lot of metal movies that are just kind of not that great, but I don't know. Deathgasm's probably up there with one of my favorites. I really like that one, but I don't know why I'm blanking on metal movies. Like all the movies I can think of would be more just like rock in general movies.
Yeah.
You got one? A metal movie you like?
I mean, obvious ones. I mean, obviously, Wayne's World, Bill and Ted, they definitely have that. But I don't know. Whenever I think of like quote unquote metal movie, I always think of like 80s, 90s movies with a lot of that vibe in it.
Yeah.
Encino Man comes to mind, but like that's in like kind of the just stonery rock kind of vibe,
I love that movie. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we've had some other questions about other rankings like Scorpions and Wasp. Those are both ones that like I'm not really super interested in doing them, especially Scorpions. But I know that we'll get to them eventually because there's no plans on stopping Cranked and Ranked, and so eventually we do have to branch out to stuff that we may not be that interested in, just for funsies, really. So yeah, hold on, let's see.
Pink neon time because I live in a strip club.
All right. I guess we've made it through all of it. Did you watch Vulgar Display of Pantera from Phil Anselmo and the Illegals? No, I don't really want to see that. Pantera is a band that were an entity that existed as they did, and I don't really. Same thing with like when Max did a Nail Bomb tour. I don't want to see it. Nail Bomb is Nail Bomb, and I wasn't interested. I'm sure it's fine. Well, I think we reached the end of the questions. If for some reason we missed somebody, I apologize. But I got to say, this has been a blast, and thank you all for being here.
For sure.
And and for making this fun. And I don't know. Do you have any parting words for our friends out here?
I just wanted to highlight. I'm not a number. Highlighted. Meant to say, I looked up that girl on YouTube that played Cannibal Corpse's Frantic Disembowelment guitar cover. Wow, you're right. She was amazing. If you're still here watching this, right after this, just type in Frantic Disembowelment guitar cover. You'll see her. She's a lady playing guitar.
She's a lady.
Yeah. And she kicks ass, dude. Like when I watched it, I was like, fuck, that's cool. In actual fact, I'm gonna find it right now and say her channel name. So
give her a shout out on the live thing.
Cannibal Corpse, Frantic Disembowelment guitar cover. Oh, she's the first one that pops up. Isabella Moriki. So yeah, she's fucking cool.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Do you parting words aside from that before we leave?
This was really cool.
Yeah. It's something different for us because we've never interacted with the quote unquote fans.
Yeah. It feels really good to see so many people that enjoy it too. It really means a lot that we've been able to build this fan base of peanut butter platypuses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now would be the time at the end of the Q&A for the peanut butter platypuses. But yeah, this has been cool, and we'll probably do one of these again. Maybe next time we do a live one, maybe we can actually do some sort of ranking live, just for the fuck of it, and maybe get other people's input. That would be fun.
Yeah.
But but next week it's back to the grind of doing the podcast episodes, and it's gonna be fun. Also, for those of you who are still here and are watching this live tonight, 10 p.m. new episode of Old Head Bangers Ball premieres tonight, 10 p.m. Central, which is 5 a.m. your time, something like that. So yeah, it's going to be a premiere, and I'm going to be chatting along as I normally am. I didn't do a post about it, but I'm going to let everybody know. But yeah, tonight, a new episode of Old Headbangers Ball. Hopefully you guys will be there. And then of course, there won't be a new Cranked and Ranked this week because we're doing this. But next week we'll be back on with you guys. Thanks everyone. It's good to see that we got everybody from like different parts of the world, Ireland and Alaska and France.
Yeah.
Faceless Melancholy says, I freaking love this channel. We freaking love you, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you all again very soon. It would not be a Cranked and Ranked if we didn't let Eddie take us out.
Later, international dudes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. We still live, boy.
We shouldn't be. It says